Hello, everybody. Carolina Jordan here with Remax Inspire in beautiful Somerville, South Carolina. And as always, I'm trying to help everybody getting their knowledge in whenever they're buying a house. So today I've been getting some calls regarding the locking of the rate for their mortgage. And of course, we have wonderful loan officer, Mr. Dan Crance with Classic Home Mortgage here with us today. And he's going to be able to tell us a little more about what that locking your rate means and what do we need to know about it.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Caroline. I appreciate it. So 6 weeks ago, locking your rate basically meant that, you have a ratified contract and, you came to me and you got pre-approved. You went to Carolina and she found your house, and you come back to me with the ratified contract. And, so you say, all right, I want to buy this house. What's my payment? So pretty easy, straightforward. So I've already pre-qualified you. You had an idea what the payment would be based on the rate the day that I pre-qualified you. Rates change all the time. So then we would say, okay, your rate's going to be 3.5. Your payment's $1,800, and everybody's happy. We keep moving forward. So then comes this coronavirus, and lenders' money's tight. And money is backlogged into forbearance, and people that didn't make their first payment. And so now the lender is kind of on the hook, and expenses from the end lender are increasing. So some end lenders, and when I say end lenders, when you have a broker, I broker to several companies wherever the interest rate and the opportunity is best for the buyer. And that's the end lender. So when you go to that end lender, some of them aren't allowing you to lock a rate until we get further into the approval process. So when the buyer gives me all information and I submit it to the end lender into their underwriting, they'll give me back what's called a conditional approval. Basically, I'm going to approve Joe Buyer to buy this house based off of these items, or verifying this information. At that point, we're pretty comfortable that Joe Buyer is going to get closed because underwriting's already looked at it. They've seen income, they've seen assets, they've seen the contract, and they're like, okay, makes sense. The problem is they have all this money tied up, and it costs the end lender money to lock that rate. If the deal blows up because the home inspection came back bad, or the seller refuses to replace a window that needs replaced on an FHA loan and the buyer doesn't want to replace it, the deal can blow up. Mm-hmm. If the appraisal comes in, not that Carolina would ever sell you on the wrong end of a price, but if the appraisal came in too low and the seller refuses to sell it for that amount, then that deal blows up. So the end lender is on the hook for setting that money off the side to lock that interest rate. So therefore they've moved that rate lock to the time where the loan's conditionally approved. Now, from a buyer standpoint, the buyer has earnest money out there that they've written a check for, and they may or may not have paid for an appraisal that hasn't yet happened, because we want that conditional approval back to make sure that before the buyer spends any money on the appraisal, that they've got a great chance of having this loan be approved. The earnest money can come back to the buyer if, through lending, the loan doesn't get approved. So that money really isn't at risk right now. The money at risk would be to pay for the appraisal. So we get the conditional approval back, then we lock the rate, then we get the house appraised. So it's kind of another step, and I think this is a short-lived situation because it's really uncomfortable for a buyer let's say, for instance, they're buying a $400,000 house. An eighth of a percentage in rate is a huge difference on a house that size in monthly payment. And buyers always want to know what's the payment. You know, in fact, a lot of times they care more about the payment than they do the interest rate. They want to know whether they can afford it in their 30-month increment pay cycle. So they're not interested in what their total payments will be, what they're actually going to pay for the house, you know, with added interest. They're interested in that 30-day payment. So the bottom line is, some end lenders aren't locking rates right now and waiting until the conditional approval comes in. And that really begs the situation of, okay, well, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Buyer, they want to buy a house. Let's just get them all the way through the process. Well, underwriting is so backlogged because of forbearance and the lending, everyone refinancing, so many refinances right now, that getting a pre-approval on a house to be determined, very few people are doing that either. So it's just part of the process. It's kind of a growing pain. But now, you know, it just popped up a couple of weeks ago. You know, maybe it lasts a couple more weeks and goes away entirely. You know, with McMaster saying that, you know, people are going to be opening up starting tomorrow, and that in the opening up phase, you know, as long as we don't step on ourselves, you know, things get better. This is one of the things that'll quickly go away. But today, you know, it could be an issue for your buyers. So just something that we have to deal with right now on this crazy pandemic.
Well, I love something about Dan and the process he has, because before he sends the appraisal to be done, he always either text me or call me or email me and say, Carolina, are we ready to move forward? And that's super important for my buyers, because if we are on due diligence or waiting to get that inspection report back and we think like, oh my God, there's issues that, forget it, the buyer is not going to be able to handle or the seller is not willing to take care of, well, I don't want you as a buyer to lose the money on an appraiser if we are not going to be able to move forward. And that's one part that is amazed me about Dan, that he is on top of things and he's always checking in with me, making sure we are on those steps that we need to before the buyer spends more money or gets more deep into the process. So thank you so much. This was great information, Dan. Please let us know how people can reach out to you if they have more questions or if they want to get an appointment with you.
Super. Thanks. Well, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to talk today. So you can find me at Dan Crance, Your Mortgage Man on Facebook. I post a lot of first-time home buyer articles there, a lot of refinance articles, how to improve your credit, those kind of things. You can find me at www.dcymm.com, which stands for Dan Crance, Your Mortgage Man. You can apply there, find some information out about me. You can find me on a LinkedIn page. I've got a personal page that's public. You know, I'm very transparent. My office is at 134 East Richardson, on the corner of East Richardson and Magnolia, right around the corner from Hutchinson Square. I'll start meeting clients there again in 2 weeks at the outside, maybe next week. But you know, trying to stay safe and keep housing going forward. But yeah, so it's an exciting time. But Carolina, how can these folks get a hold of you so you can show them the house of their dreams?
Well, thank you so much. But before I do mine, what's your phone number, dude?
843-478-5612.
Perfect. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, I'll be glad to connect you with Dan. My phone number is 843-900-4449, and you can find me on Facebook at Low Country Home Sales /Remax Inspire. And my website is actually www.lowcountryhomesale.com. And I'll be happy to start the process with you. Thank you so much, Dan, for giving us the time.
Thanks for letting me do it.
This was great information. I'll see you all later.
Thank you.